On the other hand, unlike the products obtained from medicinal plants, its content shows extraordinary diversity. The chemical content of propolis samples collected in different countries varies considerably. Today, there are various forms of use of propolis. It is produced as pure or aloe gel with pollen as an extract, or as a mouth spray mixed with melissa, sage, or rosemary, through lozenges, in the form of creams and powder as a mouthwash, and it is used after the beeswax is removed. Despite the multiple effects of the propolis, most reports are based on preliminary studies. The majority of the studies are conducted in Eastern European countries. Applied studies and research are mainly carried out in China. More detailed studies, especially intestinal, dermatological, and dental applications, will enable to determine the possible benefits of propolis in medical use. China, Brazil, America, Australia, and Uruguay are among the countries that produce the most propolis, while Japan is the leader in the processing and consumption of propolis. In Turkey, microscopic and chemical analysis of propolis have been made by various researchers, and the herbal source of Turkish propolis is generally Castanea, sativa, and Populus. It has been reported. Let's examine together where the term propolis came from. The term propolis is derived from Greek and means pro, defense, polis, city. From here, it was possible to reach a meaning such as the defense of the city or the hive. So, when was propolis discovered? The discovery of propolis dates back to the years before Christ. The famous Greek philosopher Aristotle wanted to study the work of bees using a transparent hive, but the transparency of the hive was discovered with the dark waxy substances. These dark substances is presumed to be propolis. The positive effects of the propolis on humans have been known since ancient time, and its use among the public dates back to ancient time. The pain-reducing and wound-healing activities of propolis were the first described in the Pliny the Elder, a large school in Rome, in the 79th to 23rd BC. Propolis was also known by the Egyptians in the ancient times and was used to treat some diseases and embalming the dead. The Greeks and Romans have used propolis for centuries to treat skin abscesses. Hippocrates, 460 to 377 BC, stated that propolis was used in the treatment of skin diseases, ulcer, and digestive system ailments. In Africa, propolis have been used as a medicine for a long time. In the European records of the 12th century, medical preparations of propolis used for the mouth and throat infections and dental health were described. Another use of propolis dating back to ancient times is its use as a varnish. In Italy, in the 17th century, Stradivari also used propolis for polishing stringed instruments. The most important and widely known feature of propolis, which has kept it from the past to the present, is its effect against microorganisms. Propolis is still used by people today because of its properties. In the century we live in, this valuable bee product has antibacterial, antifungal, and antiviral properties, as well as showing many beneficial biological activities such as anti-inflammatory, anti-ulcer, local anesthetic, anti-tumor, immune stimulant. It has also expanded its use in medicine, apitherapy, health food, and biocosmetics fields. In recent years, propolis has gained importance as a health drink. It is also widely used in food. It is thought to improve human health and relieve heart ailments. These properties of propolis have attracted the attention of scientists since the late 60s. During the last 40 years, many studies have been published on chemical use, biological activity, pharmacological and therapeutic uses. The first comprehensive study was published by the Gilles Liberty in 1978. Today, there have been many studies on the chemistry and biological activity of propolis. However, there are various difficulties related to the application of propolis in treatment. The main reason why there are problems in this regard is that the chemical composition of propolis varies significantly depending on the vegetation and season of the region where it is collected. Because different plants and their secretions in different ecosystems can be source of propolis. For these reasons, the standardization of propolis has not yet been fully realized. In today's world, the increasing number of events that threaten human health, such as stress and environmental pollution, have made the negative effects of environmental conditions on people more frequent. Despite these negative effects of living conditions, propolis is studied for various purposes in many countries due to its properties to increase body resistance, to have an antibiotic effect, and most importantly, to be a natural product. A wide variety of commercial products are produced using propolis in many countries around the world. According to information obtained from the literature, propolis was first used commercially in the 1950s. In 1984 records of propolis, it includes export of propolis at 55 tons from China, smaller quantities from Argentina, Canada, Chile, and Uruguay, and at least 11 other countries with unknown quantities. Most plants protect their leaves, flowers, and fruits with resinous substances that they produce against antimicrobial rods, which have waterproof and thermal insulation properties. Honeybees collect these resinous substances from cracks in the trunks of trees, buds, and leaves. The sticky substance that bees chew add oral digestive enzymes and partially digest. Mixed with the beeswax is used for various purposes in the hive. In other words, propolis of honeybees, it is a sticky, dark-colored juice that he collects from living plants, mixes with beeswax, and uses for polishing and sealing openings in the hive before eggs are laid in the larval eyes. What is the appearance features of propolis? What color is it? Let's take a look, shall we? Propolis changes color from yellow to dark brown and sometimes green. The color of propolis varies according to the region where it is collected and the season. For example, samples from countries with a temperate climate have a more or less distinctive brown color, while in the countries with a tropical climate and in Australia, the color of propolis is black. Finnish propolis is orange. Cuban propolis is dark violet. It is natural to observe the differences in the color depending on the botanical origin of the propolis. Propolis has a sticky and distinctive pungent color when taken from the hive. European propolis generally has a pleasant and mild odor when burnt. It emits a pleasant odor caused by the aromatic substances in its content. The smell of Georgian propolis is generally similar to that of propolis from other regions and Russia. Lithuanian propolis has a very strong cinnamon scent. In terms of taste, they all have a sour and sharp taste. Propolis, which has hard like wax when the environment is cold, resinous and sticky when heated, is also called bee glue because of this feature. Propolis show as elastic structure with wax consistency between 15 to 25 degrees Celsius. It softens and becomes sticky at high temperatures, 30 to 40 degrees Celsius. It specially melts at 80 degrees Celsius. Propolis solidifies immediately when placed in the freezer. If desired, it can be ground into powder with the help of a grinder. Importance of pollen analysis in detection of vegetal resources. Determination of the properties of propolis at the geographical level can be realized through pollinological analysis, pollen analysis. Polis is rich in pollen. Polis may be contaminated with pollen on the bees today. Pollen collected by bees in the beehive can contaminate propolis. A very small percentage of atmospheric pollen can enter the beehive and contaminate the propolis. The pollen in propolis is thought to be derived from the surrounding vegetation. Pollen can be brought into the hive from the atmosphere or by bees whose bodies and legs are covered with pollen. In this way, the pollen carried to the hive can be mixed with the propolis. Let's look at the importance of propolis for bees. Honeybees hive in colonies. For this reason, it is very important that the temperature is around 34 degrees Celsius, and the humidity is between 40 to 65%. For the health of the hive, in order for the conditions inside the hive to be healthy, if these conditions are not met, various microorganisms such as viruses, bacteria, and fungi can reproduce in the hive and cause virus bee diseases. It is very important in colony life that bees clean behavior of the individual body and inside the hive, regulating the humidity and temperature of the hive, taking care of the queen bee, making their life in the hive healthy and resistant to diseases. Bees benefit from the mechanical and biological effects of propolis in the hive. The main role of propolis in the hive is to protect bees against diseases. Propolis, which bees collected and transformed from nature, has a great importance in a healthy colony life. Propolis is used by bees for multiple purposes in the hive. Bees use propolis to protect their hives from the cold weather and the negative effects of wind in the winter, to narrow the hive entrance hole, to defend the colony against the dangers that may come from the hive entrance, to prevent the decay and purification of living things that die in the hive at a size that they cannot carry, and to prevent the reproduction of virus microbes, viruses, bacteria, and fungi. Propolis is effective in cleaning the cells of the comb, the development of the egg laid by the queen bee in a sterile environment, and the protection of the offspring. Propolis is also used by the bees in shaping the borders of the hive, hardening and repairing the honeycomb edges, reinforcing the frame connections, fixing the frames inside the hive, closing the slits and cracks, and disinfecting the honeycombs, and is collected for these purposes. The reason why the microorganism is much less in the hive than in the atmosphere is the presence of propolis in the hive. When the inner walls of the hive are plastered with propolis, they become slippery and it becomes easier for the bees to repel ants trying to enter the hive, virus insects that enter the hive and die there, or other particles that cannot be removed from the hive are covered with propolis, thus preventing them from damaging the hive. It keeps the humidity inside the hive at a certain level and protects the hive from excessive humidity after heavy rains. It keeps the hive hygienic by preventing the development of virus spores and the like. So why is propolis so important for humans? Propolis, it has many biological activities such as antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, inflammatory, anti-ulcer, local anesthetic, liver protection, anti-tumor, immune or stimulatory properties. For these reasons, it is used as a popular natural food in apitherapy and among the public. How is the collection, processing, and storage of propolis done? Combination of propolis with wax, paint, and other parts should be avoided. In the cleanest collection method, traps placed on top of the bucket are used. Traps are essentially partitions or sheets with small holes that look like cracks in the hive wall. In order to protect their hives from external factors, bees try to close these holes and thus fill the trap with propolis. Thanks to the traps, excess wax does not mix with propolis and contamination does not occur during the harvest. Trap harvesting is the faster and more productive method. In order to increase the production of propolis, traps made of plastic, nylon, or metal with openings 3 mm, wide enough for bees to not penetrate, are used instead of a cover board until the weather gets colder. The traps are mounted on the top of the hive. The openings on the traps are filled with propolis by 12 to 21-day-old worker bees. The trap covered with propolis is taken from the hive and placed in the deep freezer. The cold hardened propolis acquires a brittle structure and is separated from the trap with a simple bending action applied to the inner cover. What are the propolis trap types, or how should they be? Different models have been developed in different countries regarding propolis trap. In the model developed by the Japanese, alternative size cycles are opened on a thin plastic plate prepared according to the upper surface of the hive. The trap, which is inserted into the hive in June, is taken from the hive in October. It is seen that the holes are filled with propolis within 4 months. In the trap model, which is widely used by the Japanese, some layers are left open in the honeycomb layer of the hive, and this area is covered with the propolis. The trap model used by the Germans is created by overlapping wires with different pores and placing them under the hive cover board. However, it is reported that this model is not useful. How is propolis quality control done? Environmental pollutants, drugs, and waxes can accumulate in the propolis at a high rate. Therefore, if propolis is to be collected for human use, it should be collected from the hives that have not been exposed to chemical processes. A good propolis must first be free of all contaminants. Heavy metals can also accumulate in propolis in dangerous quantities. It is not enough for propolis to be free from toxins alone. The ratio of substances related to its biological activity, insoluble part, hash ratio should be recorded. If propolis is to be used for medicinal purposes, it is imperative to know the density of substances with biological activity. A good quality propolis should be free of toxic contaminants. A propolis standard was established in Turkey by the Turkish Standards Institute. The chemical properties acquired by this standard are given below. Let's examine the uses of propolis. Since propolis has various beneficial effects, its usage area is quite wide, and propolis is used in medicine, cosmetics industry, and food sector. For this reason, commercial products of propolis such as tablets, lozenges, skin cream, shampoo, lipstick, toothpaste, and mouth sprays have been prepared. An overview of propolis in history. Propolis is a product that has been widely used throughout history like honey. Greeks and Egyptians first used propolis as an antiseptic. The Egyptians also used propolis to spray the corpses to protect their mummies from germs and other parasites from the earliest times of history. In Central America, while the Incans drank propolis to reduce fever, in the 11th century, Avicenna commended propolis to soldiers to treat their wounds due to its antiseptic properties. Legionaries, soldiers of the Roman Empire, were used propolis for the rapid healing of their wounds in the 15th century. Propolis was also used in France between the 18th and 19th centuries to heal wounds. Propolis was used for varnishing, polishing in Italian Stradivarius violins. During the Anglo-Boer War and World War II, doctors used propolis to heal wounds.